Blackburn and Tom Herman are the announcers. Is that it? 9:02. Here we go.
About it.
Headed back to our home away from home, Las Vegas.
No doubt. First, how awesome for Allie Upshaw to have a voice and use it. I mean, that if you do any research on what she's talking about, it's unbelievable. And so, whatever I can do for Coach Franklin and them to help them find some orange shirts and stuff, and I'll wear an orange ribbon on Friday night because that's pretty special. My late grandfather, spoke Navajo, so he would have enjoyed sitting in here and listening to Allie. Pretty special for one, as talented as she is and as high of an expectation as she has to be successful. But for her to use her voice, I mean, I do it all the time because of my little one. But I think it's brave of her because she could have very easily said nothing. Asking to wear an orange color with all the teams that we play orange around here, good for her, and I'll do it proudly. That's pretty neat. Talk about Saturday night, and it won't be long because there ain't much to talk about. We didn't play good enough to be competitive. We still are trying to build towards playing at that level. They were bigger, stronger, and they played better than us. We had opportunities on defense in the first half to get off the field to keep them off the scoreboard, and only did it once or twice, kept them off the scoreboard, and they got 17 points out of it. If we can make a couple tackles on third down, I mean, it could have been 7 or 10 to nothing at halftime. We should have stayed more running between the tackles on offense. I think sometimes you go into a game and think you can't do something, and we didn't make good enough adjustments inside. I thought we had success running the ball early on inside. We didn't stick to it, and they defeated us on the perimeter easier than we like, obviously, and we couldn't get to the outside. So they whooped our tail, and that's what we're building towards. I look forward to those games because it is the benchmark of where we want to get. Obviously, the number one goal in our program is to win a conference championship, but we want to compete at that level, and obviously we're not there yet. It was seen on Saturday. But the great part of having the opportunity to get ready again to play on Friday, the mentality of playing that game and going into that game and not worrying about getting hurt. I mean, you hear all the time, okay, you're going to play these money games. We're going to go get beat up. You're going to go, that ain't our philosophy. Our philosophy is if somebody has more talent than us, then we're going to physically fight them until we try and narrow that gap. And our kids they fought really hard. We have the normal bumps and bruises from a football game. You didn't see one of our guys get carried off, or the trainers one time have to come out and see our guys. If our guys get beat up, they come over to the sideline, they hop in the tent, they do whatever they need to do to fix it, and then they go back in and play, unless they're told they can't. And so, from the progress we've made since I've been here to that, I mean, we're still going in the right direction. Now, 38-0, they whooped our tail. I mean, that it is what it is. We get a great opportunity on Friday night, playing probably the hottest team in our league. Coach Arroyo is doing a great job. They're better on defense than they were last year. Doug Broomfield, the quarterback, he's a big old joker, and he's playing really, really well. And so they've got a home game against the Lobos that we'll leave here on Thursday, and our kids are excited to go play. I think the Mountain West is one. I'll continue to say it's a great football league, and I think it's a very competitive football league this year. So I'm excited about the opportunity for Friday night. Go ahead, Sam.
Coach, you've mentioned that in the past there'd be times where something might not be going well, and guys would get frustrated. They'd start maybe just getting frustrated with each other at times on the sidelines or whatever it is. Whether it was Saturday night or the last couple of days, have you noticed anything that was maybe different, despite what the score was, that maybe guys were maybe able to shake it off a little bit more, or just anything in that regard? Well,
you have to see the demeanor when you get here on Sunday night, because we had a quick turnaround. We got back between 2 and 3 in the morning. Coaches came in early. Regardless, the players got here at 3 o'clock. We had to get a game plan ready because we were going to practice on Monday. And they're going to lift Sunday night and watch the tape so that we can review the things. They were licking their wounds, feeling sorry for themselves, which I'm kind of glad, because if they're moving on and like it's no big deal, then they didn't expect to compete. We just got our tails whipped. And there's going to be oftentimes you get your tails whipped until you're big enough and strong enough that you can overcome some of those things. So the message to him on Monday morning was, okay, you've had enough time to feel sorry for yourself. I mean, you can say you got 24 hours, you got all those things. I mean, realistically, after the game, you start getting ready for your next opponent, win or lose right after. The longer you feel sorry for yourself, nobody else does. Your girlfriend, your mom might. But the idea that it hurt them, it's good. It means they expected to compete better than they did. And they prepare, I mean, I thought they prepared well to compete, but obviously we played a better opponent.
Danny, what was the difference between last year at Texas A&M and this year at LSU?
I don't think, obviously the score was no different, it was worse. But I thought the attitude and the preparation was different. I mean, our boys were not scared. And we lost a couple kids last year against Texas A&M because we weren't built for it and ready for it. I mean, we hadn't lifted in 2 years. We had a normal off season. And I thought they went out there, and I thought, I mean, early on, we were aggressive. We were okay. I mean, we stopped them from running the football. I thought Jaden Daniels did a really good job of getting the ball to their wide receivers who were a little bit bigger than us. We had 2 third down opportunities on that first drive to get off the field that they broke tackles that we had made all year long. We had opportunities on the last drive. We get the penalty, that hurt. I mean, I want him on the verge of playing that way. But Justin knows that's a quarterback, and you can't make that mistake on a quarterback. So, I mean, there was plenty of opportunities for us to compete. I mean, the third play of the game, we read it wrong. If we hand that ball to Nate Jones, now we're going to get the first down. It's going to be him and the safety one-on-one, and we'll see how big the play is. But we still, I mean, and that's, I mean, they did a great, you have to give them credit. I mean, obviously, if they held us to 2 first downs, give them credit because they whooped our tail. I mean, we've got to fix that problem, or else we won't be competitive. And I mean, we'll be competitive on Friday night. Friday night will be a great football game. What else? Go ahead, Steve.
Coach, Miles is your starter, and the game kind of got out of hand in the second half. Why keep him in that second half or into the fourth quarter?
Because he still gives us the best chance to have success, and there's opportunities when you're trying to build a program to, one, you can get kids experience, or 2, you can establish a mentality of it does not matter what the scoreboard says, it does not matter what's going on in the game, you don't give in. And there'll be plenty of time for Justin and CJ to gain experience and play, but we're still developing that. I thought the long rushing touchdown they had, I don't think the effort was good enough. If we're running like AJ Halsey did in that touchdown that we raved about against UTEP, we get them on the ground and we have no chance to play defense. I thought we gave in a little bit right there, and so we talked about it on the sideline, and I thought they went out for the last 2 series and fought hard, and they didn't score. So it's all of a mentality and an attitude. What?
With Ray Lotele not practicing, is the situation where you rule him out, or is there a decision later in the week?
I haven't ruled him out yet, but it'll be week to week. He's got to have enough strength in his foot to be able to play. And it's not a matter of him telling me that he's good enough, because Ray's one of those guys that it doesn't matter what's wrong, he'll get on the field. I mean, his foot was hurt for 2.5 quarters, and he played and didn't want to say anything. We could tell, so he needs to be healthy. Now, he's a really good football player and he helps us. Dion and Alec did a really good job inside there. On Friday, Dion had been out for 3 weeks, so he was a little bit playing shape-wise, but he still played 40 plays. And Alec has the ability to play inside and out. And then J.D. Roberts came in for a little bit, so we've got enough depth there finally. But Ray's one of our better players, so it'll be really nice when he's able to play.
What is unique about UNLV's offense?
Well, one, Marcus Coach Arroyo has done a great job recruiting. I mean, they've done a really good job in the transfer portal. I mean, their running back is a 6'3", 230-pound kid from Louisville. Williams was a really good running back the last few years for UNLV, and they haven't skipped a beat there. He's bigger. Doug Broomfield makes them go, and he was injured before we got to play them last year. So he's a left-handed quarterback, so the ball comes out a little bit differently. he's doing a really good job getting the ball to receivers. They do a lot of option routes and spot and mesh routes to try and get your eyes dirty in the secondary. A lot of rail routes where they'll stack receivers and try and split them and get you to make mistakes. And so they've been very efficient. They've taken the ball away well on defense, and they've given their offense some opportunities, and they've cashed in on them. Doug throws a really good, Broomfield throws a really good deep ball. And the receivers, I think they do a great job of making competitive catches. And that is, I mean, one, you have to be a good enough player, but two, that's Coach Arroyo and that's coaching. That those guys are doing what he's asking, because most of the time, I mean, if you watched the NFL game last night, CeeDee Lamb had an opportunity at a touchdown early on in the game, and he dropped it. He waited for the ball right here instead of going and getting it and taking it down the sideline and score. Their guys don't wait for the ball. They go take it from you. They'll jump over you. They use their hands. So, I mean, much like a defense perspective that's being taught, they do a good job of coaching them to do those things. And they're doing the little things that's helping them be successful. He was good at Oregon. I mean, he's doing a really good job.
You're excited to see your defense against their offense?
Very, very. I think it's a great matchup. I think we've got players in the secondary that are aggressive like that, and I think they have something to prove after Saturday. They've had to listen to me, tell them they ain't good enough all the last couple days of what happened. I don't believe they believe that, and they shouldn't. They should look at me like I'm crazy. And so I know they're excited to go out there and compete, and I know UNLV's kids are excited to go out there and compete. So it'll be a great opportunity.
Coach, big news on the recruiting trail yesterday for you. Your third local commit so far for next season. You always say you want the best in the state. How do you think you're accomplishing that so far?
I mean, if you watch, I'm not allowed to technically comment on it, but if you watch social media, and I do too, Frank gave me a great suggestion on how to handle that. It's all over, and that's great. We want to keep the best New Mexico kids at home. And if you listen to them talk when they get interviewed on the radio, or if you listen to them in the newspapers, they talk to each other, and they're recruiting each other as hard as we are, which is what you want, because there's some elite talent in New Mexico that with the internet you don't get to hide anymore. When Brian Urlacher was recruited, he had 2 offers. Texas Tech, 40 miles down the road, didn't offer, and a position coach got fired because of it, because there shouldn't be a kid that's good that a school doesn't know about when they're in their backyard. You can't do that anymore because of Huddle and the internet and YouTube and all those things. So it has to be through relationships. It has to be through those guys trying to convince and believe that we're doing something special here. And so I think that's another opportunity to see that the kids believe in what we're doing, their families believe in what we're doing, and I think Coach Ridenauer and Coach Howes with the local ties have done a great job. Coach Long and myself, knowing a lot of the high school coaches from years of being here, they believe in that message, and we're going to keep recruiting all those kids. And if we don't recruit one of those kids that believes that they are good enough and we don't give them the opportunity right away, Cody Moon did it to perfection. Come and prove that you can play. We'll give you an opportunity, and if you're good enough, then we're going to put you on a scholarship. And if you're not, then you'll help us continue to build this program. So I thought it was exciting. We're excited about the commits that we have, about the commits that we're getting. If you want to be a good coach, you get good players. And when they have some loyalties to New Mexico, it helps in the world that we're in right now.
Danny, you've said in the past you want a Stony Case or a Rain Lee. Do you need to go to the portal to find guys like that?
I don't disagree with that. It's harder to develop them, extremely harder than it was years ago, because with all of the access that these kids have nowadays with 7-on-7s, I mean, 7-on-7 has become AAU basketball. They have travel teams, they go national. There's no patience for a kid to come on a campus and wait his turn. Most of them, if they're not playing, they want to leave. And so that oftentimes is the fastest route to find a quarterback. There's not a ton of great ones in this world. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, look at how many great quarterbacks there are in the NFL. You probably got 4 or 5, and the other 27 teams are hunting every week to find the next. I mean, Cooper Rush, what he's done for the Cowboys, and obviously I'm a Cowboy fan. So what Cooper Rush has done the last 2 weeks, hopefully he's earned himself an opportunity to play more in that league because he's done a great job in 2 games. He's efficient with the ball. So finding guys like that's realistically probably the majority of the recruiting that's going to be done by everybody in the country. Go ahead, Sam.
You mentioned Coach right now, or just what can you say a handful of games in just about what he's picking up on the intricacies of the college game, and then also just with him going into the Hall of Fame at Eastern, if you could just comment.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because Coach Ridenauer has a pretty hectic weekend getting ready to happen to him. What a special honor to be inducted in the Hall of Fame for Eastern New Mexico. So we'll get back at whatever time we get back. Kick off the games at 9. Won't be over till a little after midnight. That's 1 o'clock here. We'll fly back home. We'll get home 3 or 4. He's going to hop in the car because they have a breakfast for him to celebrate. They're inducting a few people into the Hall of Fame, and they've got all the activities. You only get so many opportunities in your life for something like that. So he's going to celebrate it. I think he was a little bit worried about asking, can he have that day to do that? But those things are important. I mean, football, obviously our jobs are very, very important, and it's what our world revolves around. But there's only so many things that you have in life for an opportunity like that. And he's earned it. He's done a great job adapting to the recruiting world. He spends more time on the phone. I mean, it's awesome. If you don't recruit every day, you end up looking like a bum, and he's been phenomenal. And I don't think people realize how hard that is on our families, because when I go home, my phone's constantly dinging and ringing, and these watches now, it's constantly vibrating, and it's a habit now. I do this, and it can be very distracting to your family members. But you marry special people that understand and are unbelievable. And I think Erica is probably figuring that out. But the bottom line, and I say this and I can't say it enough, if you want to be a great coach, you get great players. If the talent is equal, coaching makes a significant difference. If you don't have enough talent, it doesn't matter. You can be Vince Lombardi. If you don't have enough talent, you're not going to win. So you better continue to do that in the recruiting world. I think he's doing a great job.
Coach, as a follow-up to this question about the greatest commitment, you talked often about what it's going to take to fill the stadium. So is it a situation where it's going to require winning and winning with New Mexico players in order to fill the stadium, really get the community enthused with it?
I think that helps significantly. When we did it before, when we averaged 35 to 38,000 people in the mid-2000s, we had a lot of New Mexico players that were our best players. You had Dontrell Moore, you had Nick Spiegel, you had Mike Mahort, you had Brian Johnson, Curtis Pino. I mean, those guys were all from Albuquerque, from New Mexico. Hank Baskett, Cole McCaney. I mean, all those kids, they were our best players. Ryan Cook. I mean, they were all some of those guys were NFL guys. They were New Mexico guys, so they had that connection to the community, but we were good. We won, I've said it a bunch of times, I'm going to sound like a broken record because it is history, but between 2000 and 2008, we were the winningest program in the Mountain West Conference. We had the most 6-win seasons. We were the only team that was bowl eligible, the only team, including BYU, Utah, TCU, Boise State. We were the only team that did those things, so that's why that place was full. When you lose 38-0, you get 2 first downs and have 88 yards, they don't expect you to compete in that. I get that. I understand that. Do I want them to come before we're competing in that game? Absolutely I do. But your lot in life is your lot in life. You keep plugging away. We win enough games, they'll show up. And it helps if you have New Mexico kids. New Mexico kids are special to me, 1, because I'm one of them, but 2, because they're good enough to compete at a championship level. You can't recruit 25 New Mexico kids in one class because there's not enough talent, because there's not enough people. 1.2 million people in the whole state, the population is just not big enough to fill the Division I football team. But there's 4 or 5 every year that you compete at a championship level if you develop them. And I think we can develop New Mexico kids maybe better or longer than other kids that might get recruited off our campus. Now, I know we've got a bunch of kids downstairs in that locker room that love being at the University of New Mexico. They love being a part of this program, and they're super excited to compete and have success. So I mentioned the transfer portal problems, and I'm probably making more of a problem of it for ourselves than there needs to be. Address that problem. We had the 2 that left last year, Kate Briggs and Aaron Dumas. Go see how it worked out for them.
Coach, could you evaluate your quarterback performance and offense performance?
It's not good enough. You get 88 yards and 2 first downs, it's not good enough. I thought we did some things early in the first 3 series where we got ourselves, we weren't behind the chains, we didn't convert third downs. And we didn't convert third downs on either side of the ball. You have to be able to stay in front of the chains, and you have to be able to keep moving forward in order to be competitive. We've got to have a better plan to give our kids a chance for success, because we've got enough talent to be competitive. So we didn't do a good enough job of that Saturday night, excuse me. LSU was better than we were. That doesn't mean that you can't be competitive and make things happen to give yourself a chance, and we did not do that. What else? Simple. Thank you guys. Good luck. I'll see everybody on Friday night. That's late, 9 o'clock. I heard Frank say you might watch it. I hope everybody watches it. There's no mic. Have a good night. Thanks. Go Lobos.